Apes, the headline that I had just predicted in the last video has now came out. This is faster than I had expected, signifying, considering the drop that we've seen today and how fast countries are reacting, that this new variant could be an issue. Now, how does that play into AMC? We're also going to talk about that, my expectations, and just to reiterate, like I said in the last video, what is the best case? What is the worst case? What is the base case scenario? What do I think is going to happen with AMC stock over the next couple of weeks, because we do have a lot of bullish things that are working in our favor. The fact that AMC held up much better than all of these other stocks today, even its movie theater competitives, as you guys can see, Cineworld dropped over 8%, Cinemark dropped over 5%. The other travel stocks dropped much more than that, over 10% a piece, and AMC only fell about 3.5% for the day. So this is showing you guys people are holding on to their AMC shares. We have effectively gotten the traders out of the stock. By continuously buying the stock, we have constricted that float. So essentially, once volume comes in, whether it's bearish or bullish, the stock will move a lot, and that is ultimately what you want before that bullish volume comes into the stock. Hopefully that makes some sense to you guys, as well as that we have a lot of option activity for the month of December and January. We know the shorts have not covered. We just got the exchange reported short interest data. The only thing this trade, or essentially the only thing that could make AMC not go up, in my personal opinion, by the end of the year, is going to be this variant situation, how this does unravel. So I'm very pleased to give you guys my expectations of what is going to happen, and it's not all doom and gloom. So let's get into this new headline that did now just come out. So, U.S. to restrict travel from South Africa, 7 other countries as new COVID variant emerges. And I did say this was likely to come out over the weekend, but this came out 1 hour after market close. So that right there, not a great sign in general. It's a good sign that we're trying to get ahead of this, but as we have seen, it doesn't really matter how much you restrict travel. This pandemic seems to travel everywhere. Doesn't matter what happens. The Delta in a couple of weeks became the #1 strain in the world. And I'm not here to argue politics or argue about what's right, what's wrong. When it pertains to your investments and my investments, that's where I like to pay attention. And this is definitely going to have an impact. Now, it says the United States will restrict travel for non-U.S. citizens from South Africa and 7 other countries starting on Monday as a new COVID variant emerges. President Joe Biden was briefed on Friday by White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci. The briefing came as other nations announced travel restrictions on Southern Africa. In addition to South Africa, the affected countries are Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini. I can't say these names, and they're probably countries that you really haven't heard about before. I know Zimbabwe. The other countries, never heard about before. So I don't think it's as big of a deal. It's not like we're banning, European traveling, but anyways, let's get into a little bit more of what is being said. The decision came less than 3 weeks after the Biden administration lifted pandemic travel restrictions on visitors from more than 30 countries. President Joe Biden, we just heard that. The European Union and the UK travel restrictions Friday on Southern Africa, even as Belgian officials announced that several cases of the Omicron variant have already been identified there. The World Health Organization on Friday assigned the newly identified variant the Greek letter Omicron and formally recognized the strain previously referred to as lineage B11529 as a variant of concern. And that's really what you guys need to know. There is 10 mutations on the spike protein that basically interacts with human cells. So they're not exactly sure how that will play into transmissibility or if the vaccine won't be as effective. But the Delta variant only has 2. So this has 5 times the amount of mutations on the spike protein. I'm obviously not a doctor, but that is the general rundown of the situation. That is all people know. But investors, they definitely freaked out today with the S&P dropping more than 2.2%. Dow Jones having its worst day since October 2020, down over 2.5%. And the Russell 2000 down more than AMC stock on the day, down 3.67%. With the VIX, the Volatility and Fear Index, up 54%. People are panicking. And I think the biggest thing to be concerned about overall is going to be if other countries start to go into more lockdowns, because we do know that right here, you guys can see just from the news headlines, Germany considers a full lockdown and mandatory vaccines. Cases soar, but Swiss eschew lockdown as COVID law vote looms. Austria and what is this country? Slovakia have went into lockdown amid record surge in COVID cases. Europe overall considering a lockdown. Now, France plans new COVID measures but wants to avoid new lockdowns. So a lot of people are talking about lockdowns, and this is having a lot of investors feared for multiple reasons. When you're talking about supply constraints, South Africa, those countries don't really matter because we don't do a lot of trading with those countries. But if we're talking about Europe, Australia, China, any of these other countries that may possibly go into a lockdown, that is going to be a big thing that is going to weigh on the markets, as well as if ultimately we start talking about lockdowns. That's going to be the big deal. Now, how does this translate into AMC? What I think is going to happen, worst case, best case scenario. And this is really not a video that I particularly plan to make or wanted to make in general. But if we're talking about the worst case scenario, AMC is going to be affected a lot by lockdowns, and lockdowns are the last thing people want. Just depending in the next couple of weeks how this plays out, it's probably on the table in the minds of the government. Now, if that happens, AMC is part of the industry, the leisure and hospitality industry, that would be hardest affected. Now, we're not seeing that today. As we know, the other movie theater chains, travel stocks, they're down much more than AMC. That's just showing you guys people are holding on to their shares. But nevertheless, if this kind of fear does grow in the marketplace, you're going to see a reaction and a move to the downside, in my personal opinion. Now, just to be straight up with you guys, the worst case scenario, at least in the near term, what we could wake up, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of next week is about $30.63 per share. That is the 200-day moving average. What I think will happen, and like what I said in the last video, is that we will likely fall about, 4 to 5% probably on Monday if this situation does get worse over the weekend. This, travel restrictions, that's definitely not a good sign right there. But we will likely bounce off of our support level at about $33.50, in between $34 and $33.50 per share. Bounce off of that, as you will likely see people buying the dip, and then make our way back up to where we are currently at about $37 to $40 per share. That's what I expect to happen, just like we've seen back here with the latest corrections that we had in the overall markets. Now, our best case scenario is if all of this blows away, this can get contained in the next week or two, then you will see that move back up to $45 per share, because we do have all of this option activity, and that will fuel buying power even if FOMO buyers do not come into the stock and the stock acts the same way we have been acting with this very low volume and apes holding onto their shares. We will still see bullish volume based off of the option chain and contracts that have to be hedged for the month of December and January. So that is the current rundown. Just to reiterate, what I think will happen is that we will likely come down, as headlines over the weekend will probably get much worse, down to this support level currently drawn out at $34.70 per share, give or take $34.50 per share, $35, whatever, the nuances here don't matter. We'll come down, we'll bounce back up to roughly where we are at right now as people come in and buy the dip, and trading algorithms likely will buy the dip as well. And then the best case scenario is if we go back to about $45 per share. Now, who knows what's going to happen? Wish I had a crystal ball. Wish I could give you guys that heads up. If you're in this, I'm sure nobody watching this video is actually trading AMC at the current moment, because there's much better stocks to trade. But if you cannot handle the stock going down or shooting back up, basically if you can't handle the stock going to $30 per share, you shouldn't be in this stock anyways. If you can't handle this shooting straight up, if your emotions, your anxiety is getting to you, is getting the best of you, then it's probably not recommended to stay in your share position. But I'm not telling you guys what to do. Love the stock. I will continuously buy the stock. If we do go down to $30 per share, that is really where you want to load the boat, in my personal opinion. But nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I am not a financial planner. So always come to your own conclusions. It's up to you to decide, do you think this is going to be a big deal? Do you think this will blow over? Watch the mortality rates once we start to get those numbers. Watch to see if more people get hospitalized. That will, give you a reference if lockdowns would need to be necessary anyways. And on top of that, just watch for more lockdowns in general. But that is going to be all for this video. Hopefully this didn't come off as too bearish. I'm not bearish whatsoever. I'm actually more bullish on this whole situation, as people will come in and buy the dip. So hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel. Check out the links in the description for free stock. Those are all the brokerages I use. Get a free share of Lucid Motors when you sign up with Moomoo. Link down below in the description of this video. Just deposit $100. Get over $50 in Lucid Motors for free, one free share. Can't go wrong by doing that. Not a bad time to do that. Offset some of the losses that are certainly happening in all of our portfolios, as well as the link for the buy and sell alerts. If you guys want to be notified every time we make a trade in stock options and or crypto, we are hedging for the downside right now, just in case, to protect our portfolios. If you guys want to see the trades that we made today or any future trades, that is your way to do that, and also support the channel. So I will see some of you guys here at about 10 o'clock Eastern time for the live stream. Be on the lookout for that. We're going to talk extensively about this situation. But until then, until I see you guys on live stream or in the next video, you guys don't freak out too much. Love you. Take care.